ones, thank you for joining me today. And if you're new to the channel, then welcome to the family. Today, it's my intent to review Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 1. The episode was called The Weddings Are Coming, The Weddings Are Coming. Now, I'm not sure as to why they needed to repeat it twice, but that is what the episode was called. Also, I want to hear from you, so please be sure to sound off in the comments.
Welcome to Fueled by Intentions, where we talk about faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. Sponsored by Bynum's Business Solutions, where the right fit is made simple. We specialize in tips, tools, and strategies designed to help you achieve your financial health so that you can take control of how you spend your money so that you can spend more time with your family, friends, and doing the things you love. So let's jump right into the video.
We started off by meeting Mark, and he introduced us to his friend John and his friend John's family. They indicated that he moves fast after 6 to 8 months, that he's ready to move in and kind of make ties and settle down, which might be really good for Married at First Sight because it goes so quickly. So you really have to get in there and want to settle roots really quickly. So that might turn out to be an advantage for him, because most of the time what we see is people need the time to get to know you, and you're not my family. I mean, the worst one was Jeffy and Shanice, because Jeffy kept telling Shanice, I don't know you. I don't know you like that. I don't even know you. So he took the whole 8 weeks telling her that he didn't know her. He also pointed out that in 2019, his father passed away of liver, lung, and pancreatic cancer. I know a lot of us have experienced that. I've experienced going through cancer with someone, and it is it's a difficult thing to do. So I really do admire him. My heart went out to him. He did say that his dad passed away within 5 months, which is very quickly. If somebody's not sick, that's a quick time period. But I've seen someone pass away of cancer and it lasted longer than that. And it's just very, very difficult in order to go through that. He did again talk about his mom and his grandmother, who are both in somewhere close in the same building, it sounds like. But his mom is being cared for because of dementia, and his mother has an ailment, some kind of physical ailment. He didn't mention what. And also she just doesn't make really good decisions. I really did like that he called his mom first, like he shared that moment with her, even though she has some type of challenge where she needs care, he still included her into that moment. And I just love those types of things. I think that how a guy treats his mom really says something about how he's going to treat his wife. So I love that he included her, even though she could not be there with him at that time. One thing that the family said that was interesting is they asked him, what is he gonna do if his wife is not gonna be supportive of him taking care of his mom and grandmother? Now, mind you, I cannot imagine anyone saying, hey, I'm not gonna support you in this life dramatic changing moment of caring for your family. But you know, I loved his answer, because he said, I don't know what I'm gonna do, which most people say that's a deal breaker. You know, no, I wouldn't be with anybody like that. But he said he didn't know what he was gonna do, which to me, it shows that he is willing to work through the difficult things, because maybe she will support him, but maybe it may not be the support that he is looking for. And you're still gonna have to work out those things. Or maybe she's not going to be able to support him in the way that he wants her to support him. But because he is willing to work it out within the two of them and not just say, this is a deal breaker, we can't be together anymore, I think that shows that he does want a marriage to work and that he's willing to put in the work. Because we've seen different people say that they wouldn't take this or that in minor stuff. And not being supportive while you're taking care of your parents or grandparents when they need you, like that's a big deal. So I don't even know, but I really did like his answers. One thing, he is called Mr. Wickedly Committed. We understand the committed. He's committed to his family, committed to helping, taking care of. I'm not sure why they put the wicked, because wicked can mean like mischievous or devious or bad, negative. It can also mean going beyond what is reasonable. So maybe that's it. That's it. But I still don't see that in comparison to what he's already dealing with his mom and grandmother, because I don't think it's unreasonable for you to care for your loved ones who need your help. So I don't think that that is being beyond reasonable, because you care and you love them. You're the only child. There's nobody else to do it. Your dad has passed away. So of course, that is what you are going to do as a family member. So I'm not sure if we're going to see something between him and Lindsay where he's going to have to go beyond reasonable in the relationship to be committed to the relationship. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm always guessing about taglines. So we'll see how that plays out. Next, we saw Lindsay, and she was telling her family, which included her dad and her brother. One thing that I really love about this season is they are not allowing me to guess about these taglines. Most of them, they just told me exactly what they are, how the person got them, which I love, but I like trying to figure it out for myself as well. She said that hers was the wild card. She related it to when you're playing Uno and you pull the wild card. And we all know, I love Uno. When you are playing Uno, you pull the wild card, you can just disrupt the game, make it go in all kind of different directions. Somebody could be able to win. You pull the wild card and now they're back to square one. So I totally got the reference, and I do feel that it is so fitting of Lindsay. She is the wild card. Just from the rest of the show, you don't know what she's gonna say or win. One thing I thought was very interesting is that her mom and their relationship, which I don't know, I can't even imagine not having a relationship with my mom. So I could not relate to that at all, but it seems like it is something that really does affect her, because we've seen it over and over and over throughout the entire episode, that bothers her, that her and her mom, they haven't spoken. I thought she said that they hadn't spoken in 3 years, but then I guess she called her mom and invited her to, no, she said that she had not seen her mom in 3 years. And it sounds like she recently saw her mom, because on Unfiltered, she said her mom was in town and that she intentionally left so that she wouldn't have to go to the wedding. So that's kind of interesting. You haven't seen her in 3 years, and just she somehow was in town for this particular period, but left early in order not to take part in your wedding. That's sad, but I would love to hear a little more of that story and how that went. It just didn't all jive to me. But anyway, I do think that it is sad that she doesn't have a relationship with her mom, and I think she is sad about it. I think she is very, very, very hurt. I think she desires, most of us desire a relationship with our mom. It is really, really interesting how her family described her. Her dad said that she would kick the door down, kick somebody's bottom, and then take names later. And her brother said that she would chew somebody up and spit them out if they're not the right person. And then her dad said that she reacts instead of responds, and she agreed. And then in another part, he compared it. He said he hoped the person is a lion tamer. So I don't know, those didn't sound positive to me, and it sounded like even that they were thinking that she's too much, which is, in her prior interview, her thing is she wants somebody to accept her for who she is, and she doesn't want to be thought of as too much. So the fact that her family is saying that she is too much, she's a lot to deal with, maybe she's been told that all her life, and now she really just wants somebody who would just kind of accept her for who she is without thinking that she's a lot. But we will see that Mark thinks she's a lot. Now, how he's going to handle that, I'm not sure. Why I say that is because they have published the mid-season, the beginning of the season trailer. And I love the trailer because it shows you how they're all in love and everybody's getting along, and then they just flip the script and show you like all the arguments. I don't really remember a scene in there for Lindsay and Mark. And to me, if they don't put a scene in there because they're trying to show us that all the couples are going to have some kind of tension that's going to be brewing. And if they didn't put a scene in there for Lindsay and Mark, then maybe they don't have anything explosive like that. And if that does happen, then she is going to be the wild card, because I'm expecting her to not only be a handful for Mark, but for her to be a handful of all the other contestants, because as we continue our review, we're going to see that there's already tension that she is, in my opinion, that she's creating. So we'll see. Lindsay definitely is the wild card of the season. Next, we went to Olajuwon, which to me is very, very interesting. His is the ex. His tagline is the ex-playboy. We understand how that is, especially when he explained it a little more, when he talked about how he goes by a different name in order to be a playboy, so the girls wouldn't know who he was because he goes by different names. And he also talked about how he found his people on Facebook, which I thought was very interesting, because he interacts with his people on Facebook is how he finds them. And Katina, she found out that her ex was dating someone else because of Facebook. So I don't know, maybe they're both really into Facebook. Maybe they kind of interacted before. Maybe not went on a date, but somehow interacted. He talked about how he used to only care for himself and his mom, which I love that he included his mom in that, and that he has been single for 2 years trying to work on himself, and that now he cares about others and not just himself. But we'll see about that. One thing that really, really surprised me is, of course, he said he wants somebody that cooks, he wants somebody traditional, but when they ask him, what if she doesn't cook? He act like that was a major deal breaker. And see, that's what I think the difference is between him and Mark. So when Mark was asked, what would he do if somebody wasn't on board with caring for your parent? He said he didn't know, which to me, that indicates that, hey, you know what? We'll figure it out. I'm willing to work with someone. And then Olajuwon, if they don't cook, then that's a no. That's a deal breaker. Well, you're not ready for Married at First Sight, because if that's going to be a deal breaker, I don't really think you're going to be able to handle larger problems. It was really interesting when he talked about his dad and said that his dad had passed away when he was 16. That's heartbreaking, and that he is the only person, I believe, in his family whose dad did not get to see graduate from high school. So I think that a lot of these individuals have a lot of heart-wrenching stories. I don't really think that Katina had any family stories that she shared. Not that she doesn't have any, but that she shared. But I think that they'll be able to relate as a group, of having some of the different issues that have occurred with their families. Even Mark and Olajuwon may be able to relate. I think that Mark was older, of course, since his dad, I think, only died in 2019, which is not long ago. But Olajuwon, in losing his dad at age 16, I thought that's something that I can't even imagine. It was funny that when they showed the pictures, that they blurred out his mom's face. I'm not sure if we'll see her at the wedding if they didn't even want to show her in a picture. So I don't know. I'm really interested to know, maybe his mom is not supportive, that they blurred out. I mean, they blur out your face because you didn't give them consent to show you on national television. But that kind of makes me wonder if his mom is going to be supportive or not. So I'm really interested to see if his mom is going to be at his wedding. It seemed like some of his siblings were there, and he really didn't mention much about his mom, except that he, included her in wanting to love and care for her, even when he didn't care for anyone else. Like I say, I always look at what the family says. His family says that he's going to be a loving and devoted husband, but I don't know about that, if her not cooking is going to be a deal breaker, because I don't know. I think she will cook. I actually do think that she will cook, but I don't think that she is going to want to cook every night, especially since one of her main things is being a blogger. So a food blogger at that. So that indicates to me that she eats out a lot. But she was cooking when Dr. Pepper visited her home, visited her home. And it sounded like she was cooking for her family because evidently she lives with her mom, maybe some other people in the house. So I don't know, maybe she would be willing to cook every night. We'll have to see. Maybe if that is one of his requirements, then she can cook during the week. They can go out on the weekend. I don't know, but I'm hoping that that'll be something that they can compromise on. I think that that is one of the main things that he thinks is traditional, because that's the only thing that he keeps saying. So I really want to see what he thinks this traditional household would look like. And this is a pet peeve of mine, because I think that a lot of men, they want a traditional household where they want the wife to cook, clean, make sure the house is together, but then they don't feel like it's their responsibility to support the household. And then they think that you should work and bring in income too. But if you really want to be traditional, then the man goes out, make sure he is the financial supporter of the household, take care of any major things that happen in or outside of the household, and then the wife cooks, make sure the house is kept tidy and nice. So I'm gonna see if he wants traditional on both sides, or if he wants traditional where it benefits him. So let's look out for that. Next we have Katima. She told a couple of her friends, and her tagline is "Party Girl No More." We totally see how that fits her personality. She's trying to get out of the party scene, and it sounds like she is ready. I feel like she sounds like she is more ready than Elijah Wan. She says she has been cheated on several times. She actually did talk about her family. She said that her dad had been in prison from her childhood until she was an adult, and then she was raised by divorced parents. So we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if her dad will be at her wedding, since, she said he was in prison from childhood to adult. So evidently he's out now. So he may be able to support her in this big life-changing moment. So we'll definitely see if that's going to happen. It definitely seems like her mom will be there, because she said she had a really close relationship with her mom, and that she had shared the experience with her mom when they were at the bachelorette party. But yeah, we will see. I didn't see any glowing red things come out from Katima's conversation with her friend. She said she's not in a relationship. She hasn't been in a relationship for 3 years. She said that she hadn't been in a relationship for the last 3 years, so she'll have to do a lot of self-talk in order to be vulnerable, which is interesting because Elijah Wan said that he hadn't been in a relationship for the last 2 years. So maybe that can help them just get rid of the old, bring in the new, and really establish something that would be lasting. But that was Katima. Then we have Steve, who is Mr. Free Spirit. We definitely can see why he is Mr. Free Spirit. He told his entire family, I think that they were about 20 deep, at least it looked like that. There was a lot of them. So it seems like he is really close to his family. They had a lot of personality, a lot of sense of humor. I really liked the interaction of his family. I can't believe he was late. But what I liked about it is he was late, but they didn't even wait on him. They was like, look, you know what, waiter, let's order. He get in where he fit in, and we're gonna keep it moving. So they didn't wait on him. They went ahead and ate, and he just joined in when he got there. I don't know if it was his brother or another relation, maybe a cousin, or I'm not sure if it was his brother, when he said he was getting married, and he says, I don't think that's a good idea. And everybody paused oh my God, should we say something? And he's like, I think it's a great idea. And then everyone's like, okay, we can celebrate now. So I thought that was added a little humor, because everybody's like, should we say that? Is it a good idea? Is it a great idea? So then he kind of made it laugh. I think it's a great idea. So I was really glad that all of his family were supportive. They seemed like they were really close-knit family. He said that he is adventurous, and he likes to do adventurous things like skydiving, parasailing, anything like that. I can totally see that, and I think that Noe would be on board. He said it doesn't take much to make him happy, and he showed that he lived in his car for a period of time. So we do see that it doesn't take much to keep him happy. Also, we see Noe, she's either in, I couldn't tell, a studio or one bedroom. So it doesn't take much to keep her happy as well. So I think that they're gonna really mix well on that point. However, I don't think that she wants to live in a car. I think that she, can be minimal. A tiny house might even be good for her, but I don't think she wants to live in a car. So I hope he doesn't stretch her out that far as to that. But I like that both of them don't need a lot in order to be happy, and they kind of already live as minimalists or not with a lot of things attached to themselves. So they have that in common, which I'm really liking. I feel like this season, the experts match more on their commonalities than on their differences. And I think that's gonna give us a better chance of people working out. So I love that. He said that he wanted a wife and some kids. And what was really interesting when his family brought up that how he was gonna answer the question when she asked him about not having a job, and then he went through, oh, I'm just between jobs, and and then they were like, oh, so you're unemployed. Like, they just did not give him no slack. And then either his sister or his sister-in-law was like, I think she's gonna want him to have a job. I really like that his family held him to that and was like, no, she's gonna want you to have a job. And I think that's true. I really do think that's true. But one thing is that I don't know if Steve is a salesman, because I don't know, he sells me on it. He sells me on accepting him without a job. Like, he just sells you like he has so much potential. I could correct this at any moment I want to. Like, I believe him. So I don't know. He convinced me, and I really think a man should have a job and all this kind of stuff, but he convinces me like, I am gonna take care of you even though I don't have a job, and I can get a job anytime I want one. So I cannot wait to see how that conversation plays out, and if Noe is as convinced as I am that he has a lot of potential and could get any job at any time once he decides to. So let's stay tuned for that. Next, we had Noe. Noe, her tagline is quietly noisy, and we totally see that. She is a very quiet young lady, but then she goes into her alter ego of being noisy, where she dresses up with wigs and dance and be silly and have fun. So I do think that was kind of a twist on her personality. She told her friends. One thing that we found out about her is that she has traveled different areas for relationships. Like, she went to Europe, she went to Mexico, and it sounded like she had only been in Boston for like a year and a half, which was very interesting to me, because this will go well with Steve, because it sounds like he is a traveler, and he ended up he says he didn't find a job because he wanted to possibly move out of Boston. And my first thought was, she's not gonna want to do that. But now that I see she's not even from Boston, and it doesn't even appear like her family is in Boston, she might be up for moving. I mean, they may be like, what's the couple? Jamie and Jamie, I can't think of his wife's name right now, but Jamie and his wife, they travel a lot. They've moved like 4 times since they've been married, and they've had fun with it. So maybe she would be up to it. It really sounded like she had a very, very deep, close relationship with her friends, but she hasn't really even known them very long, which may say something to her personality, that she grows attachments early or quickly. And I do think that great friendships can be built from only a short period of time, so I'm not saying anything negative about that. But how she was referring to them, it just sounded like she knew him for a very long time, and she's only been there for a year and a half. And this may really be good. Like Mark, he says he attaches to people fast. I think that attaching to people fast is really good for this process. And I think the best thing I could say is Shawnee's attached really fast to Jeff D, even though he was like, I don't know you. But I think that that's one of the things that helped her be successful, is because she attaches to people fast. I do too, so I can totally relate. I think I would be good for Married at First Sight, but I already have the love of my life, so not looking. But I think my personality is, because it's adjustable and I can attach to people pretty quickly. And so I think that this is gonna play in her favor, and I just hope that Steve can attach early as well. So we'll see how that plays out, but I was surprised that she moved a lot of places and for relationships, so that may make them even a better match. I really think the experts did good about looking for things that people have in common. I feel like they have some commonalities in that, and I think that he's quietly noisy, because when you look at Steve, you think he's just this uptight, this business person, you know, but he seems like he's very adventurous. So I think that they will pair well together. I'm really excited to see how their relationship goes. She talked about growing up in a refugee camp and that she moved to the US when she was 2 years old. So I thought that that was very interesting, which is probably why she has a really tight roots to family. Also, she talked about not needing a lot in order to be happy, because all they had was their family. Again, like I said, the same thing that I thought about Steve is that he didn't need a lot to be happy. So I think that that's really, really gonna go in both of their favor. That's really gonna help them bond together quickly. And she wants someone where she can feel safe and like she has a family. And I don't know, I think that Steve's family will welcome her in, which is cool because she doesn't have family right there immediately in Boston. So I think that that will be a really good addition for her to be able to bond and interact with his very large family. I like large families too. I actually was like, oh my God, I really, when I'm praying that I would get someone who was a part of a large family. But I just love family, the sense of family, doing things with family. I really like that. So I hope that she meshes well with his large family. Next, we had Jasmine, Miss No Nonsense. And we can totally see that in her personality, even though she didn't say it. She just seems like there is just no nonsense. She right down to business, just take life as it comes. One thing that was really surprising to me is that her mom acted like she just didn't know. Oh my gosh. And when she did it, I just didn't believe it. And then later on, when Jasmine was like, well, I asked my mom before I even started what she would think if I did this. So I really thought that the reaction did not seem genuine. And I don't know, maybe it was, and there's some other kind of explanation, but it didn't seem genuine to me. And then she had already said she talked to her mom, so it's not like it's total surprise because you knew she was going through this process. But I thought that was very interesting. I think her story is really, really interesting. She said that she had 9 siblings. She doesn't know some of them, which is interesting to me because her family, her mother and her father are not together. So I didn't know if that was like 9 children from her mom, 9 children from her dad, or a combination of both of them. It sounds like some of them could be with her mom, because it doesn't sound like she's seen her mom or had a relationship with her biological mom in a very long time. It also was interesting that she said she was the 3rd girl, and then she said when they split, her mom gave up her and her sister, who moved with her dad. So if you're the third oldest, and then she said her and her younger sister went to live with her dad. So of course my question is, where did the 2 older siblings go? And were there the moms? And why would you allow 2 of them to go? I don't know. I can't imagine anybody allowing their kids to go, but that just seemed kind of weird to me. And then her dad and her stepmom split, and then she asked her stepmom to take custody of her and her younger sister because her dad moved to Jamaica. That was interesting to me too. How does that happen? Did the dad, I don't know, did the kids not want to go to Jamaica, or did the dad say we're going to move to Jamaica, and because she didn't want to go, she now stayed with her stepmom? I don't know. I'm always wanting to know the backstory of how things happen, but I really did love the dynamic of her family, even her stepdad. I think his name is Kingsley or something like that. He seems like he's very loving and caring for her, and she has a great relationship with her mom, and they had a beautiful family photo. I just thought that that was the cutest thing ever. And I just like her little sister. Even though her little sister didn't say anything, her little sister was just so cute, and just seemed like they make sure that she's included in everything. And when they took the whole family picture, it looked like the little sister, I don't know if it may be her event, but she was the only one in a little color, a little pop of color, kind of being like the standout as the baby. So I really like that too. I love family dynamics. I love to see how families interact with one another. So I really, really did enjoy her family, and I loved her family dynamics. And I love that she just lived in her truth. So many times we just want our family to look like the next person's family, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't, and I really love that she shared that, because she actually did not have to. I guess maybe somebody would have researched it or dug it up, but I loved her family dynamic. I loved her family dynamics. She also said that in her family, there's 8 girls and 1 boy, and I thought that was so interesting, because I think that she will get along very well with all the sisters that Michael has, because we know that he has at least 3 or 4 sisters, and his sisters are a major part of his life. So she already knows how to deal with girls and sisters and different personalities than you can have with sisters. So I think she's gonna really fit in well. And she may even understand Michael better because she has the one brother. And when there's only 1 boy or 1 girl or whatever it is, you know, you kind of see they have like a different dynamics than the rest of them. So she may be able to relate to Michael a little better because she has the 9 girls and just the 1 boy. So I think that that family is gonna mix well because of the dynamics of both of the families. We do know that Michael has more brothers, like he's not the only boy, but I think from her perspective, she'll be able to relate to him a little more than maybe just someone in a different family dynamic. So I'm really interested. I think that she is gonna be, I don't know, I think she's my favorite. She's actually really my favorite. I'm really looking forward to just hearing more from her, seeing her story, seeing how she responds. She is one of my favorites. Next, we saw Michael with his sisters as he was telling them that he got a match. I thought too, this was not genuine, because he was all, hey, you know, what if I pull out? And you, I don't know, it just, their reaction, they were really excited. They're like, you know, it's too late, you need to go through this and all this kind of stuff. So I just thought that that was really weird. I don't know what the producers tell them to do, but yeah, it just seems really, really weird. Just seemed really weird. But I'm really glad that his sisters were really, really excited for him. They're excited for the match, excited for the girl, and realize that it'll be changes for them personally as he gains a new wife. It was really interesting when we saw his packet. We learned that his father passed away when he was 11 or 12, and then his brother passed away after that, and then his mom passed away once he was in college, and that was really hard for him to deal with when he was in college and his mom passed away, which I can totally understand, which makes total sense as to why he's so close to his sisters, and you know how they kind of take care of him, because I'm sure after the mom passed, they really wanted to get him through college like any other African American family would want to just kind of pull together and make sure that he completed that goal. So I can definitely see why there is a very, very close bond with him and his sisters, and why he feels like they are his caretakers, which they seem older, so they've probably always been, but I'm sure it was intensified with the passing of his mom. It was really interesting in his packet how he said he is the lone wolf and he likes to process things, and how he amplifies the negative. So I'm not sure, I don't know, that sounds a lot like Zach to me, So I'm really not sure how this is going to work out. But what really was interesting, I don't know if he was at his own home. So I don't know if he filmed at his own home, or maybe he was at a sister's house, or what. This is what I thought was really interesting, that when he was sitting on the couch filming, there were 2 Christmas stockings hanging up. Now, when the other ones were filming, some of them mentioned summer, especially Alyssa. Her and her friends especially mentioned that it was summertime. So for him to be in some living area with 2 stockings in the summertime, I don't know, that whole scene didn't make sense to me. You know what else didn't? So I stopped the video. So I literally stopped the video, went close, like went in to see, and it did not look like it had his name on the stocking, which makes me think that he was at someone else's house filming, and maybe they had to like refilm. I don't know, because if somebody knows, please tell me in the comments when they actually had their weddings, because I'm not sure when they would have filmed this, or if they had to do a retake, maybe right before, maybe in December. This December, they had to do a retake of his little package because something went wrong before they, showed it in January. But it was, or maybe, this have to be December, because in November, after Thanksgiving, most times is when people put up their Christmas stockings. But I thought that was really interesting, that it did not look like he was at his own home. But anyway, he did make a health drink. Seems like he's really helpful into fitness, which is probably why he got his name. He is Mr. Training for Love. So I guess that because he's really into training. I feel like maybe they just couldn't find anything more useful for him as a tagline. That's the things that he does. I think that they should have had a tagline that more spoke to his vulnerability, because if you notice, his brother, when they called his brother, and this brother's name was, I think this brother's name was Ralph, because this comes up twice. Both of his brothers brought it up at different times when his brothers weren't together. So this is a real issue with him when more than one person says it at different times. So this brother's name was Ralph, and he called him on the phone when he was sitting with his sisters. And he said that one thing that he would like to see is that he would like to see him compromise, because that's something that he hasn't seen enough of. Now, this man is 28, or I think 28, 29, and he hasn't had to compromise. You went through college and you haven't had to compromise? Like, even on a group project in college, when you're working with a group or working with a team or whatever, you should know how to compromise. So the fact that they feel like he cannot compromise, I think is really, really a big deal, because you have to compromise in marriage. It's just, any relationship, I think that you have to compromise. And I think this comes up as a reoccurring theme as it relates to Michael. So I'm not sure. Jasmine is no nonsense. So she's gonna need a little bit of compromising. So you're gonna have to figure out how to compromise if you don't compromise. So let's see what happens to Michael, and if he can get it together in order to compromise, because in order to live in this world today and have relationships, you have to compromise. So I don't know, we'll see. Next, we saw Chris, who started out with a lie and lied to his mama as to why they were filming. See, but you know what? At least he was honest about it, because that's my question. So when they get together and they're like, oh, like when Michael, he's sitting there with his sisters, they see the cameras there. So at least Chris let us know how he lured his mom to the table and told us what he told her, because it's pretty obvious that there's cameras around. But I really love the interaction between him and his mom. And I love that as soon as he sat down, he was like, Mom, I told you a little story, this is really what's happening. And of course, she had a genuine reaction, because I feel like she didn't know, because he said that he hadn't shared any of this with her since he started through the process. So there you go. I felt like her reaction was the most genuine out of everybody. Although I will say Lindsay, when she told her family, I thought their reaction was suitable because it sounded like they knew what was going on. She was going to tell them, and then they offered her some great advice as to how to move forward. So, but I really did like his interaction with his mom, and I like that, that it was a true reaction. And I love that he actually told us what he said or what he told her to lure her there, to know why there's 4 cameramen and a production crew at this restaurant watching you eat. His mom said, "What are you gonna do when you get to the altar and she's not what you thought?" And he said, "Great question, Mom." And she was like, I know it's a great question. See, because I'm a mom and I have great questions. Like, she was just like, I don't need you to affirm the question that I asked. I know it was a great question. And then he said that he didn't know what he was gonna do, which I love that answer, because I feel like when people say, I don't know what I'm gonna do, then that means that they're open, and it's not just the conversation is dead. If I don't like it, I'm gonna move on, or it's a deal breaker. I love when people say they don't know, because you don't know. And also it gives you an opportunity to explore different avenues instead of it being a deal breaker. But I thought his mom's reaction was so funny. She said, I know it's a good question. His name is Mr. Monogamy because he has a lot of relationships. He's in the relationships for a long period of time before he determines that it's not going to go anywhere, and he calls off a relationship with the other person. He said that he plays disc golf. He's raised by his single parent, which in a single parent household, which we see that that's his mom. And also he said he wanted somebody to be his default person, like that person that you think about anytime something happens to you. That's the first person you want to call. And we all can relate. Like, that is so fun, having that person like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell, him or her what happened to me today, whether it's good or bad. So I really love when people give good word pictures, and being that default person, the person at the top of your phone call. Like he either said phone call or text. I really, 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 really did like that. He also said that he wanted to be that couple that others wanted to be like. Like, I want to be like them because I know they're happy. And I thought that was cute, but I don't do that anymore. And I used to, I want to be like so-and-so, I want to be like so-and-so. But a lot of times what you see on the outside is just not like what you see on the inside. So I'll be like, you know what? I want to be like what I think they are. Because just because they look like they're great on the outside, once you get to know some people, whether it's person, couple, how people do on their job, sometimes it's really not what you thought. So I always think, hey, I want to be like I think they are, because I think they're great. They have a great relationship. I wanted to be what I think they are, whether that's how they really are or not. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just how I process it, but I thought it was really cute. Finally, we get to Alyssa, and she tells her mom along with 3 of her best friends, which is really cool. I love that she included her mom in the discussion, because although the other ladies, they either only have their family or only have their friends, and I like that she had a mix of both. Her tagline is looking for her forever home, and because she's a dog rescuer, and she has mentioned that she looks for them a forever home, and she's looking for her forever home. So it made sense with her profession. I actually still cannot get a good read on Alyssa. I don't know, her personality doesn't mix. I don't know, there's something different about her. And I don't know what it is or what she's not saying. I actually think that she comes from wealth in a way, but then it's kind of like, okay, I don't know. It seems like she comes from wealth, but she doesn't dress like it or anything like that. So her house didn't look like it was a lot of wealth. She's not into a lot of material things. But then that might be the mystery of it, because a lot of people who have money, they don't look like it. And they don't act like it. And because they don't have to. They got it. So maybe that's her. But I think she comes from wealth. I don't know why I get that perception of her, because she doesn't dress or look like it or act like it, and she hasn't said anything about that. So I'm really interested to see if I'm right as the season moves on. She said that She said she used to hate country music, but now she is a country girl, and people would not think of her like that if they look at her. But didn't see anything. I don't know. I didn't see anything where we wouldn't think that she liked country music, or she didn't look like a country girl with a hat on her head. But I don't know. That's kind of why I think that there's something mysterious about her as to where she comes from or who she's really like. But she was dressed in like a tight, like a workout kind of outfit when she said that. Nobody would think it because of what she looks, but she doesn't look like just dazzling to me. Like she doesn't look, and she's a very pretty girl, I'm not saying that at all, but she doesn't look like I don't know, when I think of somebody who wouldn't be country, I think that they would be really, really glamorous. So that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that she looked like super glamorous, so then I wouldn't believe that she likes country or that she likes the things that country would bring. But what I liked in all of that, just to get to the point, is that she said she didn't like it, but now she does. And I really look for those little things that people say about that, because that indicates to me the ability to change. Like that indicates that you have the ability to change. You didn't like something, but now it's going on you. So I look for that, because I feel like in order to really be married, and I think that marriage is one of the hardest relationships, although a lot of them can be difficult, you have to be able to change, adjust, and compromise. So I really like that about her. She said her last relationship broke up after 2 years, which to me is similar to Chris and him being in long-term relationships. So I think that will work for their favor, that they both have been in long-term relationships that last a long time. So that seems like the value of what they want. Now I hope that they do make it, that this becomes a long-term relationship, but it looks like they have long-term relationships and then they break off. And in Alyssa's case, it sounds like he broke up with her. But in Chris's case, it sounds like he is the person who breaks up with the other person. So I hope that they really make it. And even though they make it after the show, that it's just a long-term marriage and not just another long-term relationship for the both of them, that they stay in, for a year or two and then they're done with it. So we'll see, but I think that they are a good match as well. I really think that there was a little more thought put into this season in terms of how they were matched as opposed to the other seasons. So let's move on down with the episode. Next, the ladies meet up in the ladies' lounge. I thought this was a very interesting conversation. Of course, Lindsay comes in and she's all like, I'm Lindsay with an E and not like Lindsay Lohan without the drugs. I thought that comment was inappropriate, but I think a lot of things that she's gonna say is inappropriate. And I was wondering, why did she say Lindsay with an E? Because when I think of Lindsay, I think of L-Y or either L-I. So I thought she should have said Lindsay with an I or Lindsay with a Y. Well, for her, Lindsay with an I. And then she compared herself to Lindsay Lohan without the E. But Lindsay Lohan, she spells her name with an A. So I don't know. I guess she was just really trying to make funny, but I don't know. I don't think that that's not the impression that you want to get. You don't need to bring other people into it, and you don't need to bring other people's fault into it. So I thought that was like totally uncalled for. That's a good word. I thought that was totally uncalled for. All of the ladies begin to talk about ages and what the age difference is and what they ask for in age differences. But they did not show what Noelle said about what she requested in terms of the age difference. And Noelle is the only person who really has a big age difference between her. She's 33, he's 38. So I thought it was really interesting that they didn't allow us to hear what Noelle said, what her request was in terms of age, because that's the only age that's really gonna matter in the whole thing. And of course, here's Lindsay. Oh, I got a big confession. Now, when somebody says they got a big confession, you think it's something over the top. Maybe it's just me, but not really having asked for, she said she didn't ask for anything, but she did. She asked for somebody with no belly and nice teeth. So you did ask for something. You did not give them free range to go all over the place. You asked for the things that were important to you, which is no belly and good teeth. I guess she was trying to make a point. She didn't ask for a color, which she or nationality or anything like that. Short, tall, she didn't really make those specifications. But everybody kind of stopped in their tracks because she's like, oh my God, like what kind of confession are you gonna make? And then that was it, which I think this goes to her wild card kind of personality. I think that she's gonna be over the top and very unfiltered, like her family members have indicated before. It was very interesting when all the ladies were talking about their moms and they noted that Lindsay began to cry. And I was just sitting, because it was like a little commercial in there. And I'm like, oh, please, Jasmine, share your story, share your story. And she did. And I just thought that was great, that she was just like, you know what? Every family is not what you think. It doesn't look like you think. And she shared her story about her mom. I thought that was very compassionate. I thought all the ladies showed a lot of compassion about that. Except Noelle, she didn't understand. It's like, oh, well, she didn't get it at all. You don't get along with your mom. You know, she could not relate. Everybody else was kind of trying to relate, but I think, no, I can't remember exactly what she said, but how she said it, I felt like she was like, oh, no, I do not understand not being able to get along or not getting along with your mom. But I thought, in general, all of them were very compassionate. And I like that Noelle was like, thank you so much for sharing. Because a lot of times when people share something that is personal or hurt, or when they are being vulnerable, I think that we should acknowledge that. And I felt like Noelle saying, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I thought that was very, very compassionate. So I really loved that interaction. And I think that it was just, it showed us in the world just how you don't have to have the same thing, and how they come from different walks of life with different experiences. So I want to see how that particular bond kind of gels them together. Going back to the point where Lindsay asked for no belly and good teeth. Is that really a deal breaker? Because I feel like teeth are the one thing that you can get fixed in a heartbeat. Like now you can go to the dentist and in an hour or two, you can have a whole new set of teeth. So I don't know why that was a deal breaker, because that's like one of the easiest things that can be changed. Maybe you don't want anybody with veneers or anything like that, because it don't have to really be dentures anymore. People get veneers or all kind of stuff. Yeah. So I don't know why that was such a big deal to Lindsay, because that is something that can totally be changed. There's a lot of things that you can't change. Sometimes it's hard to change person's personality or their natural physical features, but I think getting somebody's teeth fixed is pretty easy to change. Although I can understand, I would like someone with some nice teeth, but that just seemed like a very odd request to me, because it's so you can get them fixed in a heartbeat. Elijah brought up how difficult it is when there's no physical attraction, and how you have to really manage that, and how he's really gonna try to lead with his heart and not based on the visual. I really thought that was really, really mature of him. I hope that, he's gonna think that Katia is absolutely beautiful, so he's not gonna have to pull on that particular thing. But the fact that he's going in with that and not making it all about attraction and all of this kind of things, and more so, hey, I'm gonna really lead with my heart. I think that is a very, very good way to go into it, because we've seen what happens when you just go in looking for the physical. They're not like aesthetically what you would have them to be. We've seen that cause a lot of issues. So the fact that he has more of an open mind about it, I think is a great thing. Chris brings up how he doesn't want somebody to not be attracted to him, and how they wouldn't like his look and they wouldn't like his job. Is real estate not have you ever, what? You're a real estate agent? Oh, that's not gonna work. That's just kind of odd. Like, wouldn't want to like his choices, and then he said that they wouldn't like his choices, like his job. Like, I don't know. I think that in the real estate field, although there's a lot of things to do in real estate, that is a very reputable profession, and I cannot see anybody saying, ooh, you went into real estate. Like, I don't know, that was just like a really, really odd comment to me, that he thinks somebody might not like his job. Elijah Warren shares the deep deception of his dishonesty in relationships and how he went by multiple names to keep from getting caught when he was dating multiple individuals. So that was like, yeah, I hope he has that life and it's behind him. However, what we see at the bachelor party, I'm not sure, but I hope that that life is over for him. Then we go back to Michael, who talks about how he is very picky and he really picks apart things. I don't think he'll find anything to pick apart from Jasmine, but it does scare me because, you know, I don't know. I think Michaela was stunningly beautiful. And, you know, I feel like Zach, because he is so picky and he couldn't really let it go. So I have so much hope for Michael and Jasmine and all the couples, but it can be that one character flaw that you have that you won't let something go that just ruins the whole relationship. Then we see everybody go wedding shopping. I really loved that Lindsay, she went wedding shopping with her friends, but I really, really loved that her dad showed up. I love her dad. He is like top notch in my book. He was one of my favorite people on the episode. I feel like he is just a real person. He was really genuine. He gave her the advice that she needs. He seems like he's a quiet storm, like he sits there, he's quiet, but he's very supportive. I just loved him through the entire episode. He seems like a very caring, compassionate, loving father. And maybe I liked him more in the episode because of the way she responds to the rejection of her mom. So maybe for me, just having the support of her dad continually, time after time after time, just, I don't know. I have a lot of compassion for her that she doesn't get along with her mom, but I felt like her dad was wonderful. So I really enjoyed him showing up at the bridal shop to help her make a decision about it. One thing that Lindsay said is she said that she hopes that she gets everything that she dreamed of, but that she has been afraid to ask for. How many times have we done that? Just been dreaming and just been so afraid to go for it or ask for it. That was just so relatable to me. I think that a lot of us do that. If you've done it and you are willing to be vulnerable to share, then let us know in the comments. What are you just dreamed about, but you are too afraid to ask for because you think you might not get it? And for me, my thing is asking it from God, because I feel like God is the only one who can really give me what I truly want, or what I need too, but what I want. And sometimes I don't ask him because of the fear that I won't get whatever that thing is that I'm desiring. Then we saw Mark. He went shopping with his friend and he reflects on the disappointment from last time, because if he had got married last time, his dad, his mom, and his grandmother would have been able to come, and now their situations have all changed, where his dad passed and his grandmother and mother is not able to come. And you know, I can definitely, you know, life goes by so quickly that we have to really enjoy the time that we have. So I thought that was a really raw, emotional moment that he was able to share. Then we saw Michael, who was similar to Mark, who also expressed some regret that his mom and his grandmother wouldn't be there to enjoy the moment with him. But he did stress that he is going to be happy, he's going to enjoy the moment, and he knows that that is what they would want for him. And I think that everybody can agree that is what our loved ones want when they've gone on. Also, this is the time when another brother came and made a comment about him. He said that he shuts down. This was a different brother. This brother's name was Travis. So the last one, I think it was Ralph, and then this one was Travis, who said that he shuts down and he is hoping that he does not do that in relationships. So I don't know. I feel like, the other one said that he couldn't compromise. This one says that he shuts down. I feel like it's a reoccurring theme with Michael. And it's more powerful to me when your family says it, because they really know you, they love you, and they're really not going to say anything that they think would embarrass you. So I don't know. I think we're going to have to look out for that for Michael. So Jasmine, she went with her mom and her sisters to pick out her dress. It was really funny because when they all started getting emotional and crying, she's like, "You're not going to see me crying," which she lives up to her name. No nonsense. So I don't know. Married at First Sight has broken people down. And people who think they're not going to cry, we see crying like a baby. So I'm not sure Jasmine is going to have to eat those words, or will she be okay? But we have seen it on Married at First Sight. People break down because it's just a very stressful, intense time. Now we are at the bachelor and bachelorette parties. What really interested me is I see the tension building between Lindsay and Alyssa. And we also got a glimpse of that on the after party. Shout out to Keisha Knight Coleman, who is now the host of the after party, which they just changed the name from Unfiltered to the after party. It's the exact same thing. Only thing they added is now they're going to do some kind of drink to make it a little different, which is interesting. I wonder why they didn't tell Jamie that they wasn't going to do Unfiltered anymore, or they were letting her go from Unfiltered. So maybe they changed the name from Unfiltered to After Party to make a clean break from Jamie, because same setup, same everything, just a different show. And why I say that, for those who may or may not know, Jamie said that they did not tell her that she wasn't returning for another season, that she found out because some cast member called her and said that they were taping Unfiltered and wondered why she wasn't there. And then, and who that person was, I don't know, because it looks like these are people from the new season. So how, maybe it was a producer, I don't know, because if a producer call you, then they're telling you. Anyway, let's not even go into that. Let's go into the ladies' lounge. Lindsay, she seems like a lot. She was asking everybody to do shots. It seems like there's tension between her and Alyssa, because that's not what Alyssa did. Alyssa sat in the corner with her friends. But the difference is Alyssa sat in the corner with her friends and she looked like she was having a really, really good time. I compare that to Mirla, who last year, she sat kind of like away, didn't interact very much, but she was not having a good time. She didn't want to be there. But Alyssa specifically said, "Hey, I enjoyed this. Just sitting here, enjoying company with my friends." Like, she looked like she was having a good time. And I don't think that Lindsay really liked that, because she wasn't interacting in the way that Lindsay wanted her to interact. I thought it was really rude for Lindsay to say, yeah, get along with everybody, and then there's a fifth bride. And of course, the camera goes to Alyssa to show us who the fifth bride is that she's talking about. What was really interesting is on the after party, Jasmine brought up the fact that, Lindsay brought up the fact that Alyssa unfollowed her on some social media platform. And Jasmine said, that's because you were talking about her. Her friends heard you talking about her, and went and told her about it. And Lindsay seemed like, well, she didn't have to unfollow me. Yes, she did. She does not know you. You have no reason to talk about her. And if you talked about me, why do you care that I unfollowed you? Because evidently you don't like me if you're talking about me and barely know me. So I was really glad Jasmine came to Alyssa's defense, since Alyssa wasn't there. But I was really thrown off because Lindsay appeared like she didn't understand why Alyssa would unfollow her. And to me, that's just someone who's just not in tune with how life really works, because I think that was a totally valid reason as to why you would unfollow someone. I really did agree with Noelle when she said that she thinks they'll be up all night talking. that seemed perfectly reasonable, which seems like Steve's personality too, because of things that he said in the gentleman's lounge when they were at his bachelor party. I thought that they complement each other. So I think that's totally reasonable. You're so excited when you meet somebody new and you just want to data dump on them and tell them everything about you, your life, the good parts. And we all, I think, love reliving the great moments of our lives and sharing that with someone who has no idea as to what you've been through. It's just a lot of fun. So I agree with her that seems like the natural thing that would happen when you marry somebody that you don't know. In the gentleman's lounge, we saw Elijah Wan and Mark, for that reason, being what I think is inappropriate with the entertainment that they had there. So I don't know, I'm like the other guys. I don't know if that is really, he's really need to get out of the system. I don't know what Katina is gonna think about that, because I don't know, she didn't do anything inappropriate or wildly crazy or anything like that. But, I guess he is still single. And he said that he wanted somebody who would go to the strip club with him. And then they flashed to her and she's like, I don't like any kinky, crazy stuff. So I don't think that she'll be going to the strip club with him. And I hope that he can let that piece of him go. I don't know if that's going to be an issue that we see later on, because I think that production shows us things so that when they happen later on, we'll know, okay, like that's how that happened. And I realize some things don't fit into that because some things happen off camera, but I'm hoping that that's at least what production is doing, because that's the only way that the story is going to make sense going forward, is you help us, you walk us through the story so that it makes sense either when it comes to an end or if it's a glorious next step to your ever after. So we'll see. So now we get to a day before the wedding and we see Mark playing basketball. He can't believe the time has went by, and haven't we all done that, where it's like, oh my God, it seems so far away, now it's here and we're ready to go. So he was ready to go. Jasmine, she talked about her dad and how he wouldn't be able to come from Jamaica, but that he was concerned that, she was marrying someone that she didn't know. Michael, again, talks about him being vulnerable, doesn't know how he's going to react to that. But this time I thought that he did something very interesting, is he related to his loss. He related to him not being able to open up and be vulnerable to the loss of his father, mother, and grandmother. And I thought that that was really great, because I feel like that is when you're really going to have a breakthrough, is when you can deal with what the problem is or what the cause of that character trait or flaw is, to help you deal with the problem so that you can move on from that. So I thought that was very, very good that for this time he actually connected to the loss as to why he might be vulnerable. Then we got to Lindsay, and I really liked the relationship between her and her brother. It's still very sad. Her mom's still not willing to come, even though the brother has mentioned it to her as well. Then she talked about how she gets frazzled if she's like hungry or haven't had enough sleep, and how she doesn't hope that that doesn't come out. But I feel like she was saying it as if somebody else projects that onto her. But my thing is that you can still be nice if you're hungry or sleepy or whatever. You control your own emotions, and you do not have to be negative because you haven't taken care of your own needs. It's not another person's problem. So I don't know. I feel like that's like the reoccurring theme about her personality. She kicked down the door, fight, ask questions later. She is just, I don't know. I think that those are things about her personality, and I think they're all related that we may see. But I think that Mark is a really nice guy, so I hope that his personality encourages her to be her best self, and that they will make it in the end, because he is bringing out the best in her. Then we get to the last night, which is right before the weddings. They have the shout outs and they have their cameras and they take the message to their new spouse. And I think that's so cute. I think I should do that when there's like something getting ready to go on. I should just take my camera, videotape myself, and just send my message to my husband and like, hey, this is what I think about you today, or this is what I have for our future. This is what I want for our future. That's kind of what they're doing. This is what I want for our future. I think that would really, really be cute. Or just, I guess it could just be on a random day, but it just seems like it would make more sense if it was just something that was, you know, big, or something that was going on, or something that was happening. I thought Michael's was really cute because instead of sending her a message, he gave her some warnings. He said he snores, he's not organized, and he doesn't remember things. So I thought that was really cute, something different, a different spin, a different twist. Elijah said that he's gonna be with her for life, like this is gonna be our ever after, or something like that. But you just said that if the girl don't cook, it's a deal breaker. So I was like, which one is it? You know, is it gonna be a forever, or is it gonna be a deal breaker because she doesn't meet or check all the boxes that you have for her? So I don't know, we'll see about that one. Now we get to Lindsay and Mark's wedding. And Lindsay says that she never meets a stranger that she doesn't like. But that's not true, because she just talked about Alyssa. You just met her, and evidently you don't care for her if you would talk about somebody that you don't even know. So she says that she has been not liked by people, but she doesn't. There's nobody that she doesn't like. And she said there are strangers that don't like her, but then that's their problem, which I kind of agree with. If somebody doesn't like you, then that's really not your problem. I know a coworker of mine, she always says, well, you know what? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's true. Everybody has a different cup of tea, a flavor that they like, something that they enjoy. And sometimes we are not everybody's cup of tea. I really did like that Lindsay was surrounded in the morning by her friends. They seemed very happy. They seemed so supportive. And Lindsay made a Space Mountain reference. Like she said that you're at Space Mountain, you've been on the ride so many times, you're kind of tired of it. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. But then when you get in line again and you get on the ride, you say, oh, this is the best thing ever. And I do agree with that, and thought that was a really good picture of her describing her relationship and how her marriage didn't work out, thinks she's never going to do it again, and now she's at the day of her wedding, she's really excited again. So I thought that was really, really a good word picture, a good reference for us to help us understand how she was feeling. That was great. Lindsay's dad brought her a flower, and his advice was, think twice before you speak, and never speak out of anger because your words are devastating, which I thought was great advice for all of us. However, I think he meant it specifically for her because her mouth can be devastating. And that's just, some of us have that ability to really use our words and tear people down. And so I hope that Lindsay is able to control what she says and how she says it, because I think that Mark is a really nice guy, and I would not want to see him just, I don't know, I'm really nervous about how she is going to act and respond to him verbally. Mark again included his mom by calling her on the phone, and he also said that he did not want her to be disappointed, but if he is disappointed, then he can handle it. And I thought that was so selfless, because, you know, he's saying, hey, I've been through enough, where if I'm disappointed, I will rebound, but I really don't want her to be disappointed. I think that was very, very caring about the other person. And I think that shows a lot about his character, when you can care about that person's feelings and not just all of what you're gonna get, what is in it for me, how are they gonna look for me, I hope they meet all of my requirements. I thought that he's going in this with a very, very good mindset about how the other person may think and feel. He showed his friends a ring. So I'm wondering if they are allowing the contestants to pick out a ring now and not just give them the ring that they have been given everybody in the past. And if that is the case, then I think that everyone should thank Marilyn. Yeah, I think they should thank Marilyn, because, you know, her reaction last year, she went and got her own ring. She did not wear the ring that they had given. So maybe they rethought that and is now allowing them to pick out rings. However, if it is, I don't really like that they added that new twist, because you've seen a lot of couples after they've been together for a year or whatever, they go and buy a ring and then they present it to their wife just in a different light. And I think that is very special. And Jamie just gave Beth a ring recently at their last anniversary, and I think they may have been together for 2 years by now, but he gave her a ring to just celebrate the love that they now have. And I would have liked to see that better than just buying a ring now, because it's still a ring that you got to pick out. I think that they should have just left it where they just give them the ring for the show, and then when that couple gets to a point where they really want to buy that person something special, then they do. I think that Brianna got a ring too. I want to say that Brianna got a ring after her season wrapped up. So I think that they're taking that special moment that could be, but you still could give them a ring after so long, because the show probably paid for it. So maybe that's the twist that it's going to be now, that the show, I'm going to give you a ring that I actually paid for and picked out, versus a ring that I picked out and didn't pay for. We then get to the wedding. They show Lindsay riding in the limousine, look like she's just chucking them back, but I never know if that is the cameras or if that really is them getting different drinks. One thing I will say, this whole scene, the way it played out, it looked worse. It looked worse in the promo videos. I didn't see it as worse when I watched it. It wasn't as bad as it looked like when they showed it to us on the matchmaking special. I thought, oh wow, this is just too much. But we saw her drinking, then we saw her drinking look like a Coke right before, when she was doing the whole taking her dress down to find her vows, and then she dropped her bouquet, then she belched, which all of that was just not my cup of tea, I guess I would say like that. But I was wondering, I don't know, because some of us are just clumsy. So, pulling her thing to look dressed down to look for the vows, that's just her being the wild card. But other than that, dropping her bouquet and all of this kind of stuff, belching, which is normal, but I wouldn't want to do it on camera on the way to get married. I don't know if that's just someone that the clumsiness, and then you put all of that together in reel after reel after reel, and then it looks really bad, because she didn't slur, or she seemed okay when she was saying her vows, which makes me think maybe they just edited to make us, have that, oh, what's gonna happen kind of reaction. But the first thing I was thinking is, can somebody get that girl a toothbrush and a toothpaste and toothbrush? Because you're drinking alcohol, then you're drinking soda, then you belching, and you're gonna be all up in this man's face. I don't know, if I'm gonna be all up in your face, we talking one-on-one, like I'm just right there, then I think that the last thing I do is I want to brush my teeth, give me some good mouthwash, swirl it around a little bit, so when I'm talking to you, I'm not self-conscious. So I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna say anything about that or not, or yeah, that's not what I would have done. Let's put it that way. It was, yeah, I don't know. But it made for some good TV, so let's just go with that. I didn't like that Lindsay was interrupting Mark when he was saying his vows. I feel like that is just another where she doesn't have a filter or know what is appropriate and what not. Maybe some other people thought it was funny or cute. If you did, please, let me know in the comment section, because I thought it was rude, and I thought that she should have just been quiet and listened. And I know some other people have bantered back and forth during this process, and it hasn't bothered me. So maybe I just have a biased opinion at this point about Lindsay, and every time something like this is going to come up, it's going to bother me. But maybe it's nothing, and other people enjoyed the back and forth. Let me know what you think. I was not a fan of it at all. Then they had their private time, and Mark feels like she is a lot. He said that she has a lot of energy. which is the very thing that she did not want to happen. She wanted somebody who just likes her for her, accepts her for all that she is. And he didn't say it as a deal breaker, but I felt like he did notice it at the beginning, like, oh my God, this is going to be a lot. But from the promos, it looks like that they're gonna be okay. It looks like they're gonna be okay. At least, looks can always be deceiving. And sometimes they save that bombshell for later on to have a lot to carry us through the season. But he did say that he thought it was a lot. It was interesting that she said that she would give up her cats. I'm not an animal person at all, but I know a lot of people who are animal people. They are not going to give up their animals. I think it was a good thing. I think that 5 cats is too many. And, I think that maybe he should give up a cat and maybe she should give up a cat. They just give 1 cat up each or something like that. But I thought it was admirable of her to, again, I feel like when people are willing to compromise, and giving up a cat would be very compromising for anybody who is an animal lover. So I want to see how this turns out for them. I think this season is off to a great start. I think Jasmine is my favorite. I love her look, I love her personality, and I love her family. I love her story. I am just drawn towards her. I want to see more of what she will bring this season, and I want to get to know her more. Another person that really stood out for me is I love Greg, who is Lindsay's father. I thought that he was one of the MVPs of this episode. He was just there for her, really supporting his daughter, said those hard things that needed to be said. I don't know, something about when he was on screen. He was kind of quiet, but just there, present, very supportive. So I really, really, really like Greg as well. So let me know in the comments, who stood out for you? Who are you looking forward to see? So let me know in the comments, who stood out for you? Who are you looking forward to see? Which couple will you be rooting for? Let's discuss it in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, live with intention. Be intentional. We'll see you in the next video.